Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us today. Uh, we are starting in a minute, but before we start, I have some information for you regarding organization of today's event. Uh, First of all, let's do very quickly a technical check, okay? So please write in the comments in our chat whether you can see me, whether you can hear me, okay? I just must know if everything is working right, okay? You can write hi or anything, or I can see you, I can hear you. So I know that you've joined. I can't see any comments. Okay. Hello, Victor. All is fine. Okay. So I am assuming that everything is working right. You should also know that we see your comments with a very little time lag. Um, anyway, if someone had any technical issues during the event, let us know in the chat. And anyway, every one of you is going to receive the recording of today's webinar, and we will send it to you via email. So don't worry, you can watch it one more time if you had any technical issues. So great. One more time, I'm very happy to see you guys here today. My name is Cornelius, and I represent House of Angular. And House of Angular is a software development agency. We do enterprise front-end applications, of course, with Angular. We provide such services like end-to-end front-end solutions, but also consulting or code audits. And besides that, House of Angular powers Angular.love community. And Angular.love itself is a website. It's a blog about Angular. So if you're looking for a good source of knowledge about Angular, I strongly recommend you to see Angular.love. But coming back to the webinar will take around 30 minutes. And after the main talk, we will have the Q&A session. So if you had any questions related to the presented content, let us know in the comments, okay? We also received some of your questions before the webinar in our survey, and the questions will be partly answered during the presentation and partly during the Q&A session. So I think the time for the talk came, and we are ready to start. I am very happy to invite and to introduce our Angular expert. So guys, please meet Mateusz Stefańczyk. Mateusz is an Angular team leader at House of Angular. Mateusz has been developing Angular applications for like 7 years now, and he has performed dozens of audits for clients worldwide. And besides that, he takes an active part in the Angular Love community, and he shares his knowledge also in the articles on the blog angular.love. Mateusz will tell you today why it's crucial to upgrade your Angular version. So Mateusz, please show up.
Hello everyone.
Hi,
Thank you,
Matthew.
for this very great introduction. I wouldn't done it better, so
thank you. The stage is yours, Matthew. Do your best.
Thank you. So to not take more time talking about myself, because I feel like you said enough, I will only mention that you can also find me on the LinkedIn or just the Twitter, and we'll jump directly to the presentation. Yeah, so today webinar, I will try to prove you how updating your Angular or some other dependencies, but I will focus especially at the Angular, can negatively affect your security, total cost of ownership with correlation to the developer experience, customer experience, and your finances. I will use some kind of the data reports from the online available resources to prove that this relation between technical debt created by lack of updates correlates to all of these mentioned components, and we'll see. Let's start with the security. So I believe there is no need to convince anyone about the importance of the security. No one of our clients would want their data to be leaked, but in recent years, the number of vulnerabilities has been rapidly increasing. According to the IBM report from 2020 to 2021, the number of security-related incidents increased by 33%. One of the well-known recent attacks was Zoom bombing related to Zoom, when random individuals joined and disrupt meetings, and it was strongly related to the security issues. But despite of the issues with the security, what can cause some kind of the issue, it can cause the downtime. And the downtime is when your business applications or systems are not operational. And it's something we all strive to minimize. But have you ever wondered about the real cost of those minutes or seconds when your systems are down? Let's talk about the financial impact. Based on the reports, for small business applications, 60 seconds of being down can cost anywhere from $427 to staggering $9,000. Well, that's a significant sum for any business, and especially for smaller one. But looking at some other potential costs, not maybe directly financial one, but one which can affect our finances as well, is something like data breach risk. While our systems are offline, sensitive data may be exposed, putting our customers' information at risk. The cost of data breach can be astronomical, not only in terms of finance, but also in terms of reputation damage. And that there is something when we can talk about the customer trust. So security incidents resulting from downtime can erode customer trust. Customers expect their data to be handled securely, and a breach can lead to lost businesses and damaged relationships. So let's discuss a little bit of some Angular team recommendation in terms of the security. There are three main points from their perspective. The first one is keep current with the latest Angular library releases. So those are these updates we are talking about. Angular is a dynamic and evolving platform, with each new release bringing enhancements, optimizations, and security updates. By keeping your application up to date with the latest Angular releases, you are not only harnessing the latest features, but also ensuring the security and stability of your project. The second point is to do not alert your copy of Angular. This recommendation emphasizes the importance of not modifying the core of Angular framework itself. Instead, leverage Angular extensibility features, such as creating custom component or services. Modifying the framework can lead to compatibility issues and make future updates challenging. And the last point is about the avoiding Angular APIs marked in the documentation as a security risk. Security is a paramount in the web development, and the Angular team takes it seriously. They provide clear documentation highlighting any APIs that pose security risk. It's crucial to head these warnings and steer clear of such APIs to maintain the integrity of your application. Sorry. Okay, so there we can see actively supported versions by the Angular team. And what we can see there that the Google, so Angular, is supporting only two recent versions. So from version 16 to 14, I talk about the minor versions because the minor one, of course, are supported during this period of time. But from the minor versions, they support only two versions behind. So right now it's from version 16 to 14, but it's worth to notice that we are about to Angular 17 release, and we can expect that two recent supported versions will be 17 and the 15. Let's talk about the total cost of ownership. The total cost of ownership is a financial estimate that calculates the complete cost of acquiring, operating, and maintaining an asset or system over its entire life cycle. It considers not only the initial purchase price, but also ongoing expenses like maintenance, support, and operational costs. In the image, we observe the iceberg, which serves as a visual representation of the complexity of total cost of ownership and its various components. Our primary focus will be on the aspects related to the outdated software and the potential technical debt associated with it. First, let's take a look at the cost of the stagnation, how failing to update the software impacts the TCO. It's for sure decrease your ability to innovate and execute new ideas. It negatively affects the customer experience. And what's more, among the pages that load within 5 seconds, there was 2 times higher profit compared to the pages that load almost 19 seconds. And what is pretty important when we measure time to load or how fast is our application, we have to keep in mind that the most of the time users use some extremely well-developed websites in terms of the performance, like Facebook or X.com, which are not our direct competitors, but they build the feeling of our users what's the time of loading application means. And according to the research, the probability of leaving the website after 1 to 3 seconds of waiting to load increased by 32%, and by 90% while waiting up to 5 seconds. This number seems to be pretty small, would say, like 1 to 3 seconds, but we already see how it affects these leaving users. It's 32% in case of 1 to 3 seconds waiting. What's more, imagine this, that your software development is at the standstill. Updates are ignored and innovation takes a backseat. The result, the cost of stagnation skyrockets. It negatively affects customer experience. Stagnant software leads to a subpar customer experience. And sure, your users don't feel the stress of delays. Scientists suggest that the mobile waiting delay, like waiting for the application or website to load at the mobile device, is comparable to watching horror movies. It seems like a little bit funny and crazy, but that's exactly what the researchers prove by some servers and so on. And that's it. And we should avoid slow loading mobile application, especially in today's dynamic digital landscape. Stagnation is not an option. Turn to real-world case study for insights. Vodafone experience teaches us that a 31% improvement in LCP, which is largest contentful paint, part of the Web Vitals derived by the Google, as in quality signals that are essential to delivering a great user experience on the web, can lead to an impressive results. By improving the LCP by 31%, they increase total sales by 8%, uplift in the lead to visit rate by 11%, and uplift in the cart to visit rate by 11%. What's more, failing to update can affect our possibilities to retain top talents, to hire someone. In the ever-evolving landscape of technology, failing to update your software can lead to consequences that extend beyond financial considerations. It can be hard to find developers willing to work with older technologies when they can work with cutting-edge technologies for your competitors. As highlighted in the Stack Overflow survey, wanting to work with new technologies ranks as one of the top-rated reasons why developers seek new job opportunities. These insights underscores the critical importance of staying current. Not only does it affect your TCO, but also it impacts your ability to attract and retain top talents. In today's dynamic job market, developers are continually seeking opportunities to work with technologies that can challenge and inspire them. They want to be part of projects that embrace innovation and drive the industry forward. When your organization falls behind in software updates, you risk becoming less attractive to these talented individuals. And what's more, companies may find themselves in the double bind. On the one hand, they struggle to attract developers due to data technical stagnation. On the other hand, when they do find developers willing to work with legacy systems, they often need to offer higher salaries to compensate for the challenges and limitations associated with older technologies. This scenario highlights the intercoincidence of software updates, talent acquisition, and costs. By embracing modern technologies and staying competitive in the job market, business can not only attract top talent, but also avoid pitfalls overpaying for the skills they need. It's a reminder that staying current isn't just a matter of functionality. It's the strategic move that influences your total cost of ownership and your ability to build and maintain an effective development team. What's more, we can see at this illustration, the cost of stagnation is that the product becomes costlier to maintain over the time whenever we create technical debt, when our developers are demotivated, it's pure developer experience. We can find out with the situation when we are not able to deliver the same quantity of the features, the same quantity of the bugs as we used to do at the very beginning of the project. We have to also keep in mind when you observe the developers community, some Twitter or some other community-related channels, how each new feature affects them, how they love to work with the new features and want to try them out. And we need to find some kind of the balance between what's effective and important to business and how to keep developer experience in the right condition. How we can reduce the total cost of ownership for the software. For sure, there is like multiple ways we can do it. I will mostly focus only on this part related to updating the software. So from our experience and our practice, we have like the three key points. So address issues before they escalate, before we are too far behind the current stable version. So in terms of the Angular, it will be stay always maximally 2 versions behind. And that's what we are trying in the house of Angular to always be maximally 2 versions behind. Establish proactive maintenance practice. It's about updating like continuously whenever we only can do it. Don't leave it too much behind. Don't leave it to wait for the better times and so on. Just do it, even though maybe don't do some big refactor, but stay updated as fast as it's possible, I would say. And also update and refactor with the plan. Yeah, so the plan of updating and then introducing these new features, what I will talk about in the next slide, is also important. I imagine that if you have the great and big project which contains multiple applications and so on, it's not easy to just follow all of the features, but we should do it proactively, and maintenance, it's over the time by small pieces with the plan, but do it. Let's take a look at the Angular cost-saving features, and maybe right now I will underline also why we are doing this webinar in this moment when Angular is in version 16 and why it matters. Right now, Angular is going heavy changes, and a lot of people argue and blame Google for that. And even though they say that these new versions create completely new framework, and that should be completely new framework, we should cut Angular right now, and these features which are coming ahead should be in completely new library with some different name, with different, I don't know, functionalities, features, and possibilities, because it's really tough to follow with the current features. And especially right now when you want to stay updated, you want to utilize all of these features, it's important to update and maintain these updates over the time. Otherwise, you may find in the situation that you will not be able to find developers to work in your project. For example, Angular introduced right now standalone components, but till this moment, everything was done at the modules. And right now we are in the situation that these new upcoming developers, which will be joining the Angular community this year or upcoming year, we are not sure whether they will learn or utilize the courses which will be learned about the modules. But the modules currently are in the most of the projects. But that might not be the case in the 1 year from apart. So that's the case, and that's why these updates are especially important right now. Despite of that, Angular in the version 16 introduced the signal-based components, which should provide us with the completely new change detection system, which should improve the performance of the Angular framework itself. Angular right now was based on the zoneless, which is considered as one of the biggest blockers in terms of the performance for the framework. And Google team just get rid of the zoneless, and right now we will have the zoneless applications. But it's not possible for the applications which are currently done on the modules, for example. So as I said, each application till the version 16 or 17. What's more, they introduce some non-destructive hydration in server-side rendering or more stable image directives. And that's are the changes which directly affect the web core vitals, which I already proved and I just said that was created by the Google to signal the good customer experience. It's also based on this statistic, the engine just apply the SEO for your websites and so on. And in the upcoming versions like 17, 18, and so on, there is expected to join much more features related with the server-side rendering. So keeping that in mind and summarizing that everything, right now is the crucial moment for Angular applications to be updated, because otherwise in the future, we may have similar problem we already have with, I don't know, migrating or creating the application or maintaining the application in AngularJS. The problem shouldn't be that big, but it might be that we will need to overpay for some senior or just more experienced developer. And that's it from my side. We go through the security-related issues by avoiding the updating, how it affects our costs and possibility to attract the top talented developers. We learn how it's everything coincidence with the finances, and that's the feeling of saving money over updates or where positive and proactive maintenance can save us the money, because we already see that in some time in the future, even though we will have to pay for that, and what's more, it might be much more than we will pay for it right now.
Thank you, Mateusz, for the great talk. I think now we are going to start the Q&A session. But before we start, let me tell you two things, okay? First of all, I'd like you guys to fill out our survey. For us, it's very important because we can improve our events. That's the first one. And for you, it is also important because you can give us suggestions about topics you would like to hear about the next event, in the next event. So if you have any suggestions, what you would like to see during the next webinar, we will definitely take it into account. So please fill out the survey. And second of all, I would like to tell you about two bonuses we have prepared for you today. And the first bonus is that we offer you 20-minute consultations, and it's completely free of charge for the webinar participants, for you guys. And during the consultation, our expert, and maybe it will be Mateusz himself, will answer your questions about upgrading your Angular version to the newest one or to the version you need. and maybe you are planning to upgrade your Angular version and you don't know how to start, how to plan it, or you're in the middle of the process and you got stuck or something like this. So the consultations will be definitely something for you. And it's completely free of charge, but we have only 3 slots available. And if you would like to book a consultation, just write us an email to webinar@houseofangular.io. You can see the email address on the screen right now. And that's the first bonus. The second bonus is that we, as House of Angular, support other Angular teams and Angular applications. And that's the reason why we offer you a code audit. I mean, if you are struggling with a wider problem than just upgrading your Angular version in your Angular app, you should apply for a code audit. Maybe you have a case you would like to discuss with someone, with an expert, and ask about anything. Maybe you know you have a problem in your app, but you don't know where you would like to define the problem. So we will help to identify the problem and so on. We have only 2 code audits for free. And to apply for the audit, just visit our website, houseofangular.io, and go to services, to code audit. And there you can, down on the page, a form, fill in the form and write in a message that you have participated in the webinar, okay? And you will receive the code audit totally for free. It's free of charge. And all of the information I have told you right now, you will receive one more time via email. So don't worry, you don't have to write down anything I said right now. We will send all of the information via email, together with the recording of the webinar. I see the first question in the chat, and I think it's the time to start the Q&A session. And Katarzyna asks, how can we avoid spending too much effort on upgrading large-scale projects?
That's the good question. And as I said, there is maybe no perfect scenario that we can avoid too much effort, but for sure, we should plan it. We should plan it somehow over the time. So let's say right now, Angular introduced the signals, or will introduce the signal-based components, or even the standalone components, because everything begins with the standalone components. So whenever we would like to sit down during one day and migrate our entire large-scale project to the standalone approach, probably we wouldn't be even to do it in 1-2 full days of refactoring. I would suggest to prepare some plan to do it over the time, do it continuously. During you are just creating some new features, you are making bug fixes and so on. Try to utilize these new functionalities over the bug fix. Try to utilize it over the features. So whenever, let's say, you see ng module, which is pretty small, just refactor it. It will take like the 5 minutes. You have already one module refactored and so on. So as I said, how we do it in the House of Angular, we utilize it and maintenance it by being the proactive over the time. And we are preparing the plan at the beginning. That's 2 suggestions I would.
So the most important thing is to plan it. Yeah.
Yes, to plan it, and in my opinion, do it over the time. Just don't try to do it at once, let's say. But
okay,
also,
so piece by piece, really slow and
because updating the Angular version to just have it like the 16 in the package JSON, it just matter of few comments. If you are already pretty updated, let's say you are at the version 14 or the 15, it's just one comment, yeah. But in terms of utilizing the features it's introduced and gain much from these features, it's something you should plan.
Yeah, Victor is writing, for me, the best solution is to plan technical debts. Sprints.
Yeah. So that's also a great plan. In one of our projects, which we are currently working on, the latest sprint in our PI is planned as the one which we reserve for just technical debts. And that's where we often make some maintenance, explore new features, and utilizing them. That's also one of the approaches, but it's also with the plan. Yeah, we already planned that the last sprint will be something we will focus about the technical depth, and I like it.
Okay, Katarzyna is following up and she is writing, tell me about migration, breaking changes on large-scale projects where most of material and bootstrap classes are customized for the project needs.
Yeah, so it depends at the which version your material already is, because in the recent years it was probably version 14 or 15. I don't want to make you wrong, but there was change when Angular material migrate to align them classes and styles with the material approach, because till this time they used to use them own classes and so on, but right now they are aligned with the official material design and so on. So this migration really takes time to utilize, because you need to rename all of your classes, verify that nothing breaks. It's also that the view of some components has changed, but it's also not that Angular left us to and force us to updates, because we may stay with the outdated approach. And in case when we only want to stay with this material approach we had till this time, we can stay with this approach. Then this upgrade is much smaller, and it's matter of proper material thema initialization. We need to initialize our thema. I'm sorry to use the outdated or old approach component styling, and we can do it. So we are not always forced to migrate, but we have to keep in mind that it may come with some costs in the future. But if you don't have the time right now and you are aware that you need to update at some point, you keep it in mind and will really do it at some point, it's also good to just migrate right now, keep the old approach, and migrate over the time.
Okay. So I think you partly answered the question of Luis. Is it recommended that we should refactor our app to use the new feature instead? Just because there is a new feature that allows us to do things easier, but we are already and painfully doing. Is it recommended that
let me read it one more.
Sure.
Yeah, so as I said, Liz, it depends of the feature, yeah, because when I have been talking about the current Angular features related to being standalone, signal-based, new control flow, which will be introduced in the version 17, and it will work only in the zoneless applications. If you not utilize it, you are putting your project in risk to attract some new developers over the time. So if you are just planning something, you can verify what is crucial and what is these new features that will not be supported at some point, and we really need to find a way to migrate to this approach. And what are the things you are already doing? There is small improvement, but it's not like the breaking change, because what a lot of specialists and the companies even blaming Angular for is the fact that these new changes at some point are like the really breaking change, which you need to apply. So it really depends of the feature we are specifically talking about. If you would like me to just talk about some specific feature, just write it down at the chat, and I will maybe be more precise with my answer.
We have another comment from Angular Love. Maybe you can tell us, Mateusz, about some tips on a commercial component library that is regularly updated.
Yeah, so first of all, it's Angular material, yeah, and it's derived by the Angular team. So they are always up to date with the current version of the Angular. So whenever you use the Angular and Angular material, you are like somehow sure that they will utilize all of the new features and will not left you behind. The other kind of the library, which is really synchronized with the Angular, it's for sure NGRX. They always trying to be up to date with the newest features. And right now, for example, when I talk about the signals, they already introduced the signal-based state management. So we see that other libraries strongly related to the Angular are utilizing these features and already see that it's the future of the Angular, and at some point they will need to provide it for the Angular users. That's are the most commonly used by me, I would say, libraries, which are pretty important, but also an NX is always up to date with the Angular. It's the great, how to call it, just the library, let's call it library, which utilize the monorepo for the Angular applications, and which we are using in most of our projects due to great developer experience, and not only that.
Okay, thanks, Mateusz. We have one more question from Luis, and Luis is asking for migration of Angular versions, in this case to 16. What is the best approach to start making the plan? It's a very important question, because you said during the presentation, the plan is one of the most important things to successfully upgrade your Angular app. So how to start with the plan?
It strongly depends on your current project state, yeah? Because let's focus that you're trying to migrate to version 16, but without utilizing the signals, because they are in the developer's preview. So what you will probably focus on right now will be like your modules. You will like go throughout your modules, your dependencies you are just providing, take a look whether libraries you are using have some providers for the standalone approach, and then you will just plan somehow how to refactor, whether you are doing it because you have the free time, like 1 week or one sprint, and right now as a team you divide into the parts of the domains. Each of you will, or each of the team member will be responsible for refactor, which one affects which one and which need to collaborate. These things are pretty obvious, yeah. But yeah, first thing will be to take a look at your modules and your dependencies and verify what you need to successfully migrate to the point you are expect to be, yeah. Because it's also depends on your expectations. So I don't think there is right answer for each case there, yeah. So yeah, but if you would like to utilize the version 16 and start introduction the signals, you will probably you are already at the standalone point, and you would like to start introducing the signals. So what you need to do, you need to verify whether your state management library is already supporting the signals. So there is more work to do at the data level, at the services level, because signals are strongly related with the data and how we will be work and display the data and how it will be displayed in our templates and how it will react for the data changes. So there is much more work to do in scope of our services, where we are fetching the data, where we are just persisting the data, and where we're consuming the data in our templates. So whenever you're using, let's say, NGRX, you're pretty safe because, as I said, they already introduced the signal-based components. You will need to take this implementation, prepare for migration, take a look whether they already prepared some migration script for their states. If not, just you will need to do it by yourself, but you already have the library which provide the state management, which utilize the signal-based approach. If there will be a situation like, I don't want to be wrong, but for sure NGXS is not supporting right now the signals or signal-based state. So how you will need to utilize and make this state management working with the signal is using the Angular, provided by the Angular operators to map your observables to signals. And I imagine that you will need to create facade between your state management and your component in scope of which you will be mapping the observables to the signals and utilize these signals in scope of your component. That will be probably the approach you will need to choose. I don't know, Luis, whether I was able to answer to your question, but it's not easy.
maybe it's the case, Luis, that you would like to us to take a look at your project. So maybe you can write
also like reach out to me and we can discuss it in more details.
Sure. Here, Victor has his explanation for the question also in the chat.
I agree with that, Victor. Yeah.
Okay, guys, do you have more questions? I think not. So one more time, thank you to Luis. Thank all of you that you have participated in the webinar. It was a pleasure for us. I hope for you too. If you would like to let us know about the topics you would like to hear during the next webinar, let us know in our survey. And also remember about the consultation and about the audit. All of the information you will receive via email together with the recording of the webinar. So have a nice day. We had a lot of fun. Hope you too. And thank you one more time.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice day. And thank you that you have been with us.